On March 11, 2011, there was an earthquake of about 9.0 magnitude and a subsequent tsunami that damaged the Fukushima Daiichi power plant located in Fukushima, Japan, causing the ocean and the atmosphere to get really damaged. The atmosphere, as you know, is the air we breathe, so check out this video on it.
You know, a nuclear disaster once turned the Pacific Ocean into a radioactive wasteland? On March 11, 2011, a massive 9.0 earthquake struck Japan at exactly 2:46 in the afternoon. The Fukushima nuclear plant's safety systems kicked in perfectly, just as designed. But an hour later, a 45-foot tsunami smashed over the 19-foot seawalls. Water flooded the backup generators, killing the cooling systems for 3 reactors. Plant manager Masao Yoshida watched helplessly as temperatures soared past 2,000 degrees Celsius. Nuclear fuel cores began melting while deadly hydrogen gas built up to explosive levels. One by one, reactor buildings exploded over 4 days, spewing radiation across the Pacific. Then came the horrific choice: dump over 1.3 million tons of contaminated water directly into the ocean. 154,000 people were evacuated permanently from a 20-kilometer exclusion zone. Within months, radioactive particles reached the U.S. West Coast. The ocean itself had become a carrier of invisible death.
If you decide to look into this, just keep in mind that a lot of the stuff out there, videos, articles and stuff, say that everything was fixed. But one of the things that they said was that damage was going to have about 10 half-lives, which equates to about 300 years of an effect that it would have on the atmosphere and the ocean. The last I looked into it, they had not even been able to see the center. Whenever they would send robots or cameras in to try to see, they would go out, they would get damaged. So all they can pretty much do is just keep pumping cool or cold water into the system to try to keep it cool from overheating again. And that's pretty much the fix, is pumping in cold water and then getting it out and storing it. So they had all this contaminated dirty water collecting in these bins, and they had to figure out what to do with it. So on August 24 of 2023, as you can see in this article here, Japan started dumping all this water back into the ocean. But this article here that I found says that it had a lot of other stuff in it that they forgot to mention. So it has all this stuff in it, and all they could really do was just put it back into the ocean. And the surrounding nations were upset, especially China. Almost immediately, China stopped buying the seafood that they were getting from them. But as you can see from this, on October 23, the U.S. began purchasing the seafood. And I don't know if this is true, but I believe it said that the seafood was used to feed military personnel and sold into shops and restaurants on military bases. Here's an article from the minister eating fish from Fukushima, basically saying, hey, look, it's safe to eat it, and he was himself eating it. We don't really know if that's what he was eating, but that's what he said. And it actually reminded me of the Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns eats a 3-eyed fish to prove that it was safe to eat because his company was dumping a bunch of stuff into the lake, so he wanted to show them that it was safe to eat. Here's an article from December of 23 where a bunch of dead sardines washed ashore in northern Japan, and they're pretty much saying that they didn't know why that had happened back then, right? And there's actually a website that tracks fishing stuff, and here's where the webpage is talking about the Fukushima radiation, the tuna in the West Coast. Here are a few articles from 2025 about shrimp that was recalled for being radioactivity. As crazy as that sounds, that was actually in the news. And here are a couple articles on why they're spraying the skies. I believe chemtrails or cloud seeding. I'm not saying that it's related to this, but they are doing that, and it's fairly recent, I think. And there was a few videos and articles on how the snow doesn't melt now. Even if you put a lighter to it or try to melt it, it wouldn't melt. Here are a couple articles on how some billionaires are buying underground bunkers. Again, not saying this is related, but it is fairly recent. Here's a couple on the food being printed I'm not saying that they're printing food for this reason, and I'll wrap this up with a few clips of some weird fog that was hitting like Florida and California. Check this out.
Mysterious 400-mile stretch of radiation fog blankets 13 million Americans.
Clear, quiet conditions until the fog rolls in. We've got some sea fog out there. We'll have some radiation fog forming over the land as well. So some radiation fog forming over the land.